in the last few days. Should we be worried about them being in the UK? And how do you spot them?
OK, well, let me give you a bit of history to start off with. The Asian Hornets appeared in Europe in 2004 in southwestern France. By 2016, they were being recorded in the UK. We've had 116 notified recordings of these, 15 this year, all from Kent and from East Sussex. They have been proved to be overwintering here. We do have our own species of hornet, which is of a similar size. As you saw in that image there, the Asian hornets are much darker. They look like a much blacker insect. And what is characteristic is that their feet look like they've been dipped in yellow paint. But as I say, at this point in time, outside of East Sussex and Kent, you're very unlikely to come into contact with these animals. From a human perspective, I've been stung by both. They both hurt a bit, as far as I'm concerned, but the Asian hornet is no worse a threat to people. And, of course, I have to say on behalf of the insects, if you stay away from them, there's no chance of getting stung whatsoever. What concerns us more is that there are non-native species. And we know that non-native species can have a terrible impact on our ecology, Japanese knotweed, grey squirrels, etc. So we have to monitor them. You can get an app which you can download onto your phones, which is available from the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and that will show you how to identify them and also how to log them so that we can monitor their inevitable spread, I fear. And what gives us concern in some sections is people who are worried about them impacting honeybee populations. I have a broader concern, of course, because they will feed upon insects of all species, but no more so than our native hornet. So I think we've got to keep things in perspective. We want to monitor these non-natives, but we do have bigger issues at stake. We've got climate breakdown and biodiversity loss, so we don't want to focus too much attention on one invasive species when, as I say, we've got much bigger issues to deal with.
People are worried about, you mentioned bees there, though. Can they eat 50 bees a day?
They can, but a hive has many bees, and our own native species of hornet regularly came to hives that I had up until fairly recently, and they would feed there all summer long, and my hives would still prosper. So we've got to think about our broader insect populations. When it comes to pollination, honeybees play a role in some sector, but we have many other species of bees and pollinators which we need to look after. And a recent survey conducted by BugLife showed that we'd had a 78% decline in our flying insects, and that's not down to Asian hornets. That's due to intensification of agriculture and a widespread use of pesticides. Yeah. So if we're wanting to look after our honeybees and all of those other insects, we need to focus on those bigger issues whilst monitoring carefully those non-native species like the Asian hornet.
Michaela, we need to look after Sid at the moment. Tell us about Sid. It's been a story we've been keeping a close eye on. What's going on? What can we expect over the next few days?
I should say, first of all, Sid is not an Asian hornet.
Yes.
Sid is, of course, our blue tit. And this is one of the nests that we've been really invested in right from the beginning of this series of Spring Watch. And he's the surviving chick of 8 blue tits in a blue tit nest box. And we weren't terribly hopeful about him 3 weeks ago, but today, I'm telling you, I'm so hopeful. This is the one, Gethin, that I think is going to actually fledge today.
Oh.
He's doing really well. He's called Sid because we've got him on in our truck. We've got the screen and it says side angle blue tit, but the E's fallen off, so it's Sid angle blue tit. So that's how we got his name of Sid. And you could see in that clip, you know, he's really strong. I'd say we don't know whether it's a he or she at this stage, flying up to the hole in the nest box. And so, you know, it's been a real story of hope. Hasn't it, Chris?
It has. I tell you what, I was a bit negative about his potential, you know, to fledge earlier on, but now I'm really rooting for that little blue tick. He's become symbolic of a whole range of birds which are struggling against adversity, and we need to get him out of that nest.
Do you want some more hope, though, Gethin? Because we had hope over the weekend. Obviously, our nest watchers have been watching those nests the whole weekend, since Thursday, since our last show. Oyster catcher, this beautiful bird, I mean, sitting so serenely on its nest, has finally had its eggs hatch. And these absolutely adorable little chicks have come out. They're what we call precocial, which means as soon as they've hatched, they're up and about. And you can see them there toddling around on the beach, and there are 3 of them. So in tonight's show, we'll certainly be catching up with them.
Oh, listen, guys, thank you so much. Hope for Sid and toddling oyster catchers is exactly why people are so invested in the show. Keep